Whidbey Environmental Action Network was founded in the 80s. It formally became a nonprofit organization in the early 90s, and its purpose has been to protect wild spaces, natural areas from irresponsible or inappropriate development, mostly on Whidbey and Camino Island, but also beyond. Whidbey Environmental Action Network is also called WEAN, and what it originated out of was a community opposing clear-cut logging by Trillium Corporation. And what it became is really decades-long advocacy and action to improve and enforce the laws that protect nature on our islands.
WEAN was really formed out of the community. It was a group of people who came together and said, hey, we don't like what we're seeing and we're going to do something about it. And I think that spirit has really survived all of this time and continues to this day.
One of the key ways WEAN is different from most of the other environmental organizations around is that we're not focused on just one development, we're not focused on just one issue. Taking that umbrella perspective and acting on it, really looking down the road, looking into the future, is really one of the things that set WEAN apart and is why WEAN is necessary.
What is now known as Pacific Rim Institute was a State Department of Fish and Wildlife game farm, and there was a dispute, whatever, in the legislature, and Fish and Wildlife was ordered to sell it. Steve went wandering around out there. He found a piece of prairie that was basically old-growth prairie. For whatever reason, this very small chunk of about 5 acres had never been plowed, never been torn up, and it featured those prairie species from way back when. In summer of 1999, we celebrated the sale of that land for the protection of native prairie. And I've got to say, we'd been pushing so hard for so long that when we went to that event, it was a summer day, everybody's outside wandering on the prairie. And it felt like, you push, and you finally, the wall goes down and you go plop right down on top of it.
WEAN is here to protect wild spaces and preserve natural ecosystems. And that really means to protect functional ecosystems. So the forests, wetlands, prairies, and shorelines, and all of the life, human and otherwise, that depend on those ecosystems being functional for our common health. WEAN addresses a very specific need in our community by holding local government agencies and jurisdictions accountable to follow laws that protect the environment. In this capacity as an environmental watchdog, we make sure that laws that protect land and water are upheld. I really believe that without these actions going challenged by WEAN, our islands would be starkly different today.
We, as human beings, live in the environment. We are not separate from the environment. And our participation in society also requires us to think about how we can protect and be in community with plants and animals and all other living creatures, as well as natural processes and functions. We are living in a time that is really showing climate consequence. And in order for us to have a livable climate future, we really need to consider how we can preserve and protect our ecosystems. Allowing nature to function as it is less expensive in the long run. It promotes our well-being, and it provides a place for people to come to enjoy and experience nature, which is an additive to a thriving economy for Whidbey and Camino Island. Protecting ecosystems is fundamentally a selfish endeavor. We as humans need farmland that can grow healthy food. We need air that's safe and healthy to breathe. We need streams, wetlands, marshes, and these things recharge our aquifer and give us the drinking water under our feet. It's really about protecting the ability of our community to continue to be in this place and have biodiverse, healthy, functional society. WEAN has always served a very important niche role of being the organization that will sue the violators. And I don't think we're ever going to drop that identity completely, because it's such an important backstop to protect what matters most when all else fails.
We have prevented an enormous amount of urban style development. I mean, we do not have hotels on our shorelines. We do not have high density development. There are a lot of places that are protected because of our work. So I think we've had an impact.
We can actually see the results of our work. It's really very satisfying because it's very personal. It's not abstract.
For almost 4 decades, WEAN was energized primarily by volunteers, and our tireless founders, Steve and Marianne, did a great deal of work for a number of those years without the support of a paid staff. And recognizing the need to start transitioning toward retirement, they made a wise decision to enlist some donor and member support and to build a team to run a transition. The vision and work that Marianne and Steve established is being carried forward really boldly and in an even more expansive vision than what they could have dreamed possible.
Marianne and Steve have spent their lives protecting the ecosystems of this island, and going forward, we are thinking about the ways in which we as an organization can be really conscious of the complexity of these issues. We have really explicitly partnered with other nonprofit community-based organizations that focus on affordable housing, for example, or representing the agricultural industry, because we recognize that these issues are all interconnected.
Some of the ways that we're expanding our impact are through building more formal consortiums for advocacy around shared issues, building more empowered population through civic education work, and then building a real messaging approach to elected leaders in Olympia and here at home on Whidbey and Camino Islands to make sure that they understand what the communities need and how the unique island ecosystems can be better served by improvements in either the way the laws are written or the way the laws are implemented. We've been able to sustainably grow to a scale of having a full-time staff because of member support and donor support. And we are just so honored that donors have helped us get here by continuing to show up, by joining as members. The way that our community is growing is really evidenced by the way the resources come to support the staff to do the work.
We need everyone to be involved in this process. Our community together can invest in creating a world that we all want to live in. And that world needs to include functioning wetlands and shoreline habitat and forests and all of the animals that live in those forests. We can't live without them, and they can't live without our participation in their protection.
If we don't have a healthy planet and functioning ecosystems and places for nature to thrive and survive, we can't have a healthy society. And so this work is about making sure that there's enough for all of us today and into the future.